Hi, happy Mardi Gras. How's everyone doing? Everyone having an enjoyable day? Across the country and here as well, you probably got really cold weather. We have snow, which doesn't happen every year for us, and it's a bit more than we kind of anticipate. So, wow. Really grateful to be able to work from home right now, and just prayers for my husband to be safe as he is required to drive to and from work and to work out in these incredibly cold conditions. So thanks for that in advance. But it is Mardi Gras, and he is from New Orleans originally, which means it's king cake season, ending today, but starting on the Feast of Kings. And living here, we always just had king cake on Mardi Gras. I did not realize down there in the more kind of Cajun country, it's this huge thing. You have king cake all throughout the time. So our first year dating, his grandparents sent up a king cake for us. At our rehearsal dinner, we had a king cake. So I just thought to make it special, I found a recipe that looked very doable, fairly authentic, all things considered. And I was like, I'm going to make us a king cake. I'm going to make him a king cake, kind of a thing. And this recipe actually makes two, so we can even share one. But I'm letting him make that decision because it's for him. Anyway, let's get to it. It's time for another episode of Cooking with Kaitlin. That's me. Enjoy. All right, we have half a stick of butter. We're pouring in a cup of scaldingly hot milk that I heated in the microwave for about 2.5 minutes. And we're just stirring it to get it melted and combined, and then we're going to set it to the side and let it cool to room temperature. Just getting that butter to melt in there. So yeah, it's good. But I hope you're all able to keep warm. If it's really cold where you are, I know some people are not in very cold areas, and you're watching the rest of us going, thank goodness that's not us. No worries, you are probably in an area that we see in the summer and think, thank goodness that's not us too. It's all a trade-off. All right. Just a little bit of it not melted. We're almost there. Yep, just a smidge bit. All right, one sec till the next step. All right, so got 2 packets of yeast. I'm going to do a tablespoon of sugar. Should be noted underneath, you'll see it's just 1/2 cup of sugar total. 1 tablespoon goes in this, the rest will be used later. It's not a 1/2 cup plus a tablespoon, it's just a 1/2 cup that you take a tablespoon out of. Then 2/3 cup warm water. We're going to let that sit. Can you see it? For 10 minutes, and then we will check back. All right, see it's foaming up nicely. Get you guys a little closer. Okay. All right, we've got our whisk attachment on right now. We're going to first add our cooled milk mixture. And get that stirred in. A little bit that didn't quite make it in. All right. Right, we're adding the rest of that 1/2 cup of sugar. I'm going to do that one in. We're going to do our first egg. That mixed in. I'll be honest, while this is airing on Mardi Gras, I actually am making this on the Sunday before, on Valentine's Day, while he's at work. So he comes home and has that nice surprise of a Mardi Gras king cake that we can eat off for a couple days, so that we finish it hopefully before Lent begins. All right, gonna add in our seasoning, our salt. 1.5 teaspoons of salt goes in there. And then we'll get the rest of that salt out of that. And then we're going to add in a teaspoon of nutmeg. And I lost all that somehow. Turned it the wrong time. All right. Alright, so we're just getting that in there. I'm going to get a spatula to be able to scrape down the sides. Oops, sorry if I bumped something. Just making sure it's all in there. All right, then we've got 5.5 cups of flour to be adding in gradually. Scrape down the sides. And some that fell off. This I'm gonna undo because it's out of the big one now. I just don't want it all puffing back up in my face. As hilarious as it is, also then makes the amount in there inaccurate, and it creates a mess I'm not quite in the mood to clean up. Yeah, no. And y'all are like, but it would be so funny. Come on, Kaitlin. I don't think I actually showed completely what I looked like way back last summer when I made those cinnamon rolls with the Amish friendship bread starter and dropped my whole thing of flour when I was trying to move it off the counter, and then just turned and it wasn't properly sealed. I slipped or tripped or something, and it all fell and came all over me. Poor Sean had to come in because it was all in my eyes. I couldn't even open them. He had to help me clean up before I could do anything else. All right. So that's where we do stuff like this, even if it seems like, maybe she's doing too much. If you haven't had to flush your eyes to get the flour out, then we are not in the same boat. And if you have, then hopefully you understand and can recall your own experiences, and you're like, okay, maybe it's not as funny as it could be. Not as funny. So you're starting to get to the point where we're going to almost switch out the attachment. Getting close. We're going to let it combine with the rest. And then we will switch out our attachment to do the kneading. Which if you're not doing it with a mixer that has that, you're going to have to knead by hand, as we've talked about before in other videos. And that is a-okay. Alright, so I'm going to switch out attachments to do the kneading. Hang tight. Alright, we've got the kneading one on. And it's going. And if you're kneading by hand, you're going to go about 10 minutes. If you're kneading with an attachment, you're going to go about 5. So you're just going to let it knead it. I'm going to go up a little bit in the speed. And we will check back when it's time to move to the next. Alright, now I'm going to put it into a greased bowl, and I'm going to cover it. It said to do it with a damp cloth, so I've dampened a cloth, and let it proof for about 2 hours, and then we will check back. Alright, now we're going to make the filling for it, for our king cakes. Got half a cup of flour, 1 cup packed brown sugar, about 3/4 cups chopped pecans, and do a tablespoon, excuse me, of cinnamon. And stir all that together first before we add our butter. Because once we add the butter, I'd imagine I'm going to have to finish it by hand. It's just usually how it goes with this kind of streusel mix. But that is a-okay. But I think this will be very fun for Sean to come home to, for us to eat off for a couple days, and find somebody hopefully nearby, if the weather winds up being as bad as they're predicting, to share the second one with. Or he may just devour it all with coffee one day. I don't know. He can do what he wants with it. All right, then we've got 1 stick of melted butter, so that's half a cup, 1 stick. We've melted. I just already know I'm going to need to do it by hand, so I'm not going to bother with a fork first. Made streusel enough. Ones like this. Some of them you can do with something like with a spoon or a fork, but some of them like this, you just know you're gonna need the hands. All right, pause you for a sec before I move to the next. All right, so we see that the dough has doubled in size like we wanted. I'm gonna attempt to, oh wait, punch it down first. That's why. Then we're going to just slice it in half, because again it makes 2. Then move on to the next one set. Alright, angle you guys down. So we're putting on a lightly floured surface. I'm going to kind of pre-shape into the rectangle like we want it to do. Then we'll take our rolling pin, roll, And this will require a bit of shaping on our part. Which sometimes you just got to do with dough like this to get it to do what you need it to do. All right, move it this way. Especially because that actually probably need it to be a little more like this. There we go, kind of pinching it and moving it. All right, so I'm just going to kind of help shape it a little bit more how we want it to look, a little more rectangular. That's all, just a little more rectangular, looking fine, like we'd want for our king cake. All right. All right, and now we're going to spoon half of our filling onto it. The other half obviously will go on the other one. We're just leaving a little bit at one edge to seal. Just getting it all evenly spread. Kind of taking from areas that are a little heavier and putting them in areas that are a little less so. All right, we're going to do a tight roll like we've done on other stuff. I think like the cinnamon buns from last month. Yep. Getting it all nicely sealed. All right, hang tight. All right, so we're putting it on a greased pan. We're just pinching it together, making sure it's all nicely sealed. Which will seem counterproductive to what we're going to do next, what it recommends doing. So on the top, just cutting little snippets. All right, now we're going to cover it and let it sit for 45 minutes before we bake it. All right, sorry, we just put them in the oven, meant to grab this and then realized they're going to bake at 375 for 30 minutes. All right, so we've been letting them cool just a little bit. Got a cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons of water in it. We're gonna stir it on up. So we can have it ready to just drizzle over our cakes. Remember, this is for both. Just showing you for the one. But before we drizzle, part of the tradition of a king cake, and this, I know this is part of French week. This did initially come from France. This is the kind of Cajun and Americanelle adaptation of it, is that they would put, I think it's traditionally beans, sometimes a slice of dried fruit. Now it's become plastic baby. You flip it over and, oh, I need a knife. And you just kind of cut a little bit and you put your little baby in there, and whoever finds the baby in their slice brings the next cake. Does not, I don't know if that's good fortune or not good fortune, but it does mean that you bring the next cake. All right, I think it needs just a smidge bit of more, a little drop of water. All right, and then we've got our 3 Mardi Gras color sanding sugars to sprinkle right on over it. We're just getting it to go. And if you need more, if you wind up deciding to drizzle a little more, and yeah, like, which is what I'm doing, so this is actually I'm gonna have to double it to be able to do both, and that's okay. I can work with that. And I'm gonna kind of, because I want the sprinkles to be kind of everywhere, I'm gonna, the sanding sugar, be real proper. I'm gonna kind of do like that with it. All right, and we're just kind of sprinkling it around. It's just going everywhere. A little, no, is it purple? Just do a little bit more purple for that section. I'm going to do a little more yellow. And there it is. And there's our king cake. Bon appetit, les bon temps roulé. See you later.